Scientists and climate change advocates have been working diligently to raise awareness about the pressing issue of climate change, and in doing so, they often find themselves at odds with Christian communities who may be skeptical or even outright dismissive of the science. While it is not entirely accurate to say that scientists are trying to manipulate Christians, there are certainly efforts being made to engage and persuade Christian communities to take climate change seriously. One way scientists are attempting to connect with Christians is by framing the issue of climate change in moral and spiritual terms. Many Christian denominations place a strong emphasis on caring for creation and being good stewards of the earth, and scientists are seeking to tap into these values by highlighting the ways in which climate change affects not just the environment, but also human communities and the most vulnerable populations. For example, climate change is exacerbating poverty, hunger, and displacement, all of which are issues that are deeply important to many Christians. By emphasizing the human impact of climate change and the moral imperative to act, scientists hope to persuade Christians that this is not just a scientific issue, but a deeply spiritual one. Another approach scientists are taking is to engage with Christian leaders and communities directly, rather than simply trying to persuade individuals through media or public outreach. This can involve partnering with faith-based organizations, speaking at churches or conferences, and working with Christian influencers to amplify the message about climate change. By building relationships and trust with Christian leaders, scientists hope to create a sense of ownership and investment in the issue, and to encourage Christians to become advocates for climate action within their own communities. Some scientists are also seeking to challenge the notion that Christianity and science are inherently in conflict, and that Christians must choose between their faith and the scientific consensus on climate change. Instead, they argue that the values of curiosity, inquiry, and care for creation that underlie scientific inquiry are deeply compatible with Christian teachings. By highlighting the many Christians who are already working on climate change issues, and the ways in which faith is motivating and sustaining their efforts, scientists hope to create a sense of community and shared purpose around this issue. It is worth noting, however, that some Christian communities are not persuaded by these efforts, and may even view them as manipulative or coercive. Some may believe that scientists are trying to impose a secular or liberal agenda on Christian communities, or that the issue of climate change is being used as a Trojan horse for other ideological or political goals. In response, scientists and climate advocates must be sensitive to these concerns, and work to build trust and credibility with Christian communities. This can involve listening to and addressing concerns, being transparent about the science and the motivations behind it, and seeking common ground and shared values wherever possible. Despite these challenges, there is evidence to suggest that efforts to engage Christian communities on climate change are beginning to bear fruit. Many Christian denominations and organizations are now actively working on climate change issues, and there is a growing sense of momentum and urgency around this issue. For example, the Evangelical Environmental Network, the National Association of Evangelicals, and the Catholic Climate Covenant are just a few examples of faith-based organizations that are working to mobilize Christians on climate change. These efforts demonstrate that, with patience, persistence, and a deep respect for the values and concerns of Christian communities, it is possible to build bridges and create a sense of shared purpose around this critical issue. Ultimately, the goal of scientists and climate advocates is not to manipulate or coerce Christians into accepting a particular viewpoint, but to engage them in a respectful and meaningful conversation about the issue of climate change. By framing the issue in moral and spiritual terms, engaging with Christian leaders and communities, and challenging the notion of a conflict between faith and science, scientists hope to create a sense of shared purpose and urgency around this issue, and to inspire Christians to take action to protect the planet and all its inhabitants.